There is no record of men diving with crocodiles. We simply don't know what to expect. Maybe we need to re-look at the fear and re-look at the things that we see as being dangerous. And fear of a crocodile, how do you get over it? You go face to face with a croc.
I think all fear is somehow related to dying, to some form of physical death. Whether it's fear of rejection, fear of failure, it's fear of being, kicked out of a group, fear of not being loved. It's all related to not having a place in the world.
I've spent most of my working life in large corporations, and I just felt no sense of satisfaction or achievement. And I wasn't proud of what I was doing. And I think this started to send me very important signals that I'd ended up in a place that was not right for me. My name is Roger Horrocks. When I left corporate, I felt such a strong instinct to move back to the wilderness, which is a place where I'd spent a huge amount of time as a young man, and it was where I felt most vital and most alive. And it was when I met Didier Noirot that I knew how I wanted to spend the rest of my life.
I'm what we can call a wildlife cameraman. That means I'm not too good with humans sometimes, but I still believe that if we respect animals and their environment, we can enter their territory. Most of animals, you don't come close to the animal. The animal come to you.
Didier was Jacques Cousteau's cameraman, a legend, one of the very best underwater cinematographers in the world. From the moment I met Didier, I knew that I'd found my mentor. What I didn't know was that he had a plan that would test me to the very limits of my capability. Southern Africa is one of Didier's favorite places in the world. It was on a trip to the Okavango Delta in Botswana that he first thought it might be possible to get into the water and film Nile crocodiles.
I wanted to film crocodiles already in 2005 because this is a very unknown animal, and I think we deserve to make something nice with this animal because no one likes crocodile. They all end in bags and shoes.
Drawing on all his years of experience and courage, Didier dived alone with crocodiles. But the encounters were very fleeting, and the animals kept disappearing under the papyrus. As we discussed the challenge of filming these crocodiles, the terrible reality dawned on us that we would need to go deep into the crocodile's lair. We had heard stories of how these crocodiles drag their prey into the underwater papyrus cave systems, and we just knew that if we were going to achieve our goal, this was where we had to go.
I remember when I gave the first phone call to find out in Okavango, a place, and to look for information, people hang up the phone to me. When I say I will dive with crocodiles, they say no. They just laugh and hang up the phone. They took me for a stupid person.
The Okavango Delta is a maze of interconnected waterways, and it's very, very easy to get lost in this system. In order to make the most of our time here, we needed to find someone who knew this area intimately, who could put us onto the big crocs and give us the best chance of getting into the crocodile's lair. This person was Greg Thompson.
I've spent a lot of time on the water, on boats especially, with crocodiles. It's been nearly 30 years that I've been doing that, and never heard of anyone wanting to get into the water with a big crocodile. You know, all animals know what human beings are. We're the most distinct creature on the planet because we walk upright. The scary thing with crocodiles is they're one of the only animals that consider people as food, and they will quite readily take a human being, knowing full well what we are.
We know that crocodile eat men, we know that, but we don't know if the crocodile will eat divers, so this is one thing we have to find out and to discover.
I can feel, I'm starting to feel a little bit of in the belly, you know? I can feel the anticipation of what's coming.
Let's do one thing at a time.
Okay, fair enough.
Yeah,
How do you eat an elephant?
one bite at a time.
When we got onto that houseboat and started making our way down the panhandle into the Okavango Delta, I really felt like I was tapping into the true spirit of adventure, which in many ways had eluded me for much of my life.
I think we live in a very strange world. We decide, Roger and I, to leave this world and go as much as possible, spend as much time as possible in the wild, in nature.
I mean, I certainly thought of, you know, what can I take down knives, even potentially like an explosive power head, but I just think that, you know, from my experience, if you go into that water with a really strong positive sense of engagement, knowing and believing that you're going to have a positive interaction with that animal, you put yourself in a far greater position to have that interaction than if you go down with the mentality where you're expecting to be attacked.
Should anything go wrong, our French medical doctor is careened along.
You know, in case of a major emergency, we've got a sat phone with us. And so we're pretty well covered if things do go wrong.
Every morning we head out and look for clean water and big crocs. And in the back of our minds, there's always that danger of hippos. Hey Didier, croc! While I was kitting up to get into the water with the crocodiles for the very first time, I had such a strong compulsion almost not to get in. But we'd come so far, and there was just no ways that I wasn't going to get in with Didier. Diving in the Okavango Delta is unlike anything I have experienced before. The water is kryptonite green. It's cold. The current moves quite fast. and it's three-dimensional. As you drift down the channel, there is this overriding realization that hidden within all of this are these dangerous animals that you're looking for, but you can't see them. And that just makes the whole experience more scary. As we get into the main channel, we see an area where a crocodile has come into the water. Didier frames up, and a huge crocodile swims right through frame. And then something we could never have expected. Another crocodile right below. This huge crocodile stirs up the sediment, and as Didier turns, he sees the other crocodile that swam above him, which is coming behind for a closer look. For a tense moment, they face off. And then the big croc swims down current. I was terrified.
The only way we know where they are is by watching their bubbles. As soon as we see a change in that, we might know that something's happened down there, and that's when we'd get the boat on top of them as quickly as we can.
As we hit the surface, that huge croc turned and came straight into attack. Someone shouted from the boat, and we looked across, and this massive animal was coming straight towards us, very aggressively. Bolted back to the boat. The surface is the death zone with crocs. It's just not a place you want to be.
Where's that? He was going for you. Oh, he just left. Yo, guys, what happened there? I thought that croc got you. Hey, well done, he came straight for you. He thought you were food or something.
Yeah, we saw.
You got that shot.
We saw him swimming along the reed, and he came to us, so we stayed at the surface, we looked at each other, and then he came, and I said, now he's 2 meters away, what do we do? So quickly I thought that our only way was to go down, so we went down, and as we went down, he just turned away, I don't know, maybe half a meter from the camera.
It's lucky you went down. Did you get the shot?
Well, I think we got an amazing shot.
I hope I got
the shot of you facing off with a croc. Well, I hope it is running.
All what I saw is
Get your leg
that
in
was
the boat.
his white teeth coming to me, you know, so, but I think I got the shot, you know.
It was a big crocodile too.
Yeah, a big one, huh?
Yeah, it's a beast.
4 plus, huh?
Yeah.
4 to 5 meters, huh?
La peur de ma vie, j'ai vu le crocodile qui fonçait sur toi et toi qui descendais, j'ai plus rien vu, totalement impuissante en surface. C'est une peur, j'en tremble encore, je suis encore comme ça.
I really thought that was going to be possibly our end, because what can you think, you know, besides that this is the last day of your life?
Having dived with a crocodile for the first time, I was suddenly struck by the enormity of what we were trying to achieve. I also had a strong sense that if we got into the lair, where that crocodile is now potentially cornered, it was quite possible that we would not come out of this trip alive.
Yeah, of course, we take a risk diving the first time with crocodile, but we minimize the risk.
Like those first encounters were, I certainly was, I didn't even actually want the animal to see me. I was genuinely petrified, to be honest.
If you want to be covered by all kind of insurance and everything, and I think humans have reached a point where it's almost too much. You need an insurance to go to school, you need an insurance for all your medic, you need an insurance for the car, you need a complementary insurance for that, an insurance for the house. So I think I reach a point where, stop. And what is your best insurance? Is it all that? Or it is the confidence you have in yourself? Everybody dies, but not everybody lives. You hear what I say?
I do. The conditions in the delta are very dynamic and change radically. We felt strongly that we needed to have excellent visibility. So we were really relying on Greg to put us into the ideal situation where we could actually start the process of getting into the Lair. The most remarkable thing that I never realized about the Okavango Delta is that while it might look like a simple river running through an area of green, it is actually papyrus beds which are floating on this massive volume of water. And it is deep underneath the papyrus, in the chambers and in the caves, that we want to go and find the crocodiles. One of my biggest concerns is that I'm incredibly claustrophobic on land. As you start to move away from the main channel and penetrate into the papyrus, it's astounding to realize that these tunnels and channels are actually created and maintained by hippos and crocodiles. You squeeze through these tiny little paths that then open up into these huge kryptonite chambers. I was relieved not to feel any claustrophobia, but obviously there was this incredible sense of what lies just outside of my range of vision. The strong currents that forge through these channels kick up a lot of sediment, and if an animal has moved ahead of us, we can actually track it from the sediment that it leaves behind. We swam about 100 meters under the papyrus, and as we got into this chamber, Didier grabbed my arm and held my light still. The crocodile moved slowly downwards, and as it hit the bottom, the sediment just erupted all around us, and within seconds we were in complete darkness. Didier's arm so as not to lose him in the dark, and really fought to control the panic that was just welling up inside me. feeling our way through the darkness, through the silt and all the sediment. And eventually we saw this glimmer, this faint glimmer which was very close to the point where we had come into the cave system. It was a huge relief to be out again.
Once again, with the bubbles and the light, we are definitely not potential prey. This is what I thought from day one, and this is what convinced me to start to dive with the crocodiles. I'm not a potential prey. I might be an occasional or accidental prey, but not a potential prey.
Well, I mean, if you know, for whatever reason, I mean, Didier and I, one of us gets taken by a croc, I mean, you know, the critical thing is I mean, obviously try and save my life, but if that's not possible, then, you know, I'm fundamentally doing something that, and I know, again, it sounds cliched, but that I absolutely love doing. And this is my truth. This is where I want to be for the rest of my life. And I'm fully aware that it might prove fatal, but that reality also makes you live your life in a different way. But I'm still far more convinced that you're more likely to die in a car accident. And that would be a terrible death. I'd far rather, if I had a choice, be taken by a croc than die in a car accident.
When one deals with wild animals in a wild environment, it's very important when to know to actually draw the line and to say enough is enough. But in this situation, we felt that we had just experienced a worst case scenario and had handled it fine. So we decided the right thing to do was just to go straight back in. But of course, when you're dealing with nature, everything is unscripted. And we ended up in a situation we could never have imagined.
Hippo! Where's the hippo?
Hippo. Right, let's get out of here.
It's very scary. I must be honest, this is one of my scariest dives ever. I saw like a round carapace with a small tail. I said, "Poor, there are big turtles in this river I was not aware of, you know." Then I came a bit closer and I clearly recognized the back of the hippo. Now this is very scary. We laugh now, we are happy because now we know any dive after this one will be like a recreational dive, you know.
You know, I've had a big bull hippo come up underneath the houseboat at night, and he actually lifted the whole houseboat about a foot up out of the water. It just shows the incredible strength of that animal. I mean, a bull hippo can weigh close to 4,000 pounds, and that coupled with his momentum and strength in the water makes it a very powerful animal. Those teeth, those large canines and incisors are purely for self-defense. He doesn't use them for grazing. Those are just weapons for fighting. They're aggressive animals, they're territorial. An encounter in one of these crocodile lairs, a little tunnel, just the speed and weight and momentum of that animal trying to get out of there with a diver in the way, it's going to be nasty.
The river that these hippos make their home is quite unique. The Okavango River is one of the only rivers in the world that actually flows into a desert. So all of this water that accumulates here in the driest part of the year has actually fallen in the Angolan highlands and has taken 4 months to reach this astounding place. Having spent time underwater in the Okavango Delta, I felt almost hypnotized by the beauty and the diversity of plant life and animals. It's very easy to get lulled almost into a false sense of security. And one has to consciously remind yourself that this is the place where there are huge crocodiles. This truly is the place of dragons.
To dive with a croc, and to sense that life energy, which has been around for 270 million years, it must rub off on you as an individual. It has to.
The baby crocs are especially vulnerable to predators such as fish eagles. And when you see them and how vulnerable they are, it's astounding to think that they grow up to become these super predators. And at this point, I was really starting to feel a bond with these animals, which I hadn't expected to feel at all. This little crocodile was shifting his internal organs to keep the back part of his body underwater so that just his snout was sticking out. And in this way, he could stay undetected from fish eagles, and also it'll enable him to sneak up on prey. It's very tenuous to kind of get involved in things like this and say, well, we're doing this because we want to save the crocodiles, or we want to prove that, crocodiles aren't dangerous. That for me is not the point. This is much more an opportunity to kind of explore that whole human-animal interface, which is prehistoric, yet which we have, for many, many reasons, kind of lost access to. When you're in the presence of that animal, you just sense something that you've never ever sensed before. Yeah, it's a very special place to be.
If you ask me if I am scared, yes, I'm scared. I'm very scared. But I don't show it, and I don't want to show it, and I try to control it as much as I can. For example, I will relax and interiorly, inside myself, I don't make sure my heart is not beating too fast, because some animal may feel that, and I will not move back if he's just in front of me. Definitely not. This is hard. This is the hardest. Not go back.
Nile crocodiles can live to be close to 100 years old. In the 1970s in this area, just over 90,000 crocodiles were slaughtered for their skins alone, and their bodies dumped back into the water. The big crocs that we are trying to dive with would have survived the slaughter.
Top of a crocodile's skull.
Nice size, huh?
Yeah, it's about a 9-foot croc. Eye sockets here. Those big ridges makes him look like a dragon.
Ah, yes.
But look at this. This is the most interesting. That is the brain cavity.
Not big, eh?
For a 9-foot animal to have a brain this size, it shows you just how much they rely on instinct.
And this could survive for so long.
It's a dinosaur.
As humans, we have a very deep fear of the dark. The thought of doing a night dive in Okavango Delta just added a whole nother level of psychological stress, because you know that they're these dangerous animals, and you're getting into an environment where you cannot see at all.
Crocodiles are largely nocturnal. They are very, very active at night. This is when their main prey species, the catfish, is active, and so too the crocodiles are active as well. They're out hunting catfish now.
Looking into that inky black water, I felt a really strong sense of dread. But we felt that this was an important stepping stone, this night dive, in terms of getting us into the crocodile's lair. Crocodiles have a sensory system that allows them to see in the dark. So apart from our beam of light, we would be blind creatures in a seeing world. There is the sense the whole time that these crocodiles are watching you with this other sensory system. But there's nothing you can do about that. You've just got to push it out your mind. We searched the main channel, but all we could find was some small crocs, and we decided to call the dive.
The guys have slowly drifted about 10 meters away from the boat now, and it's sort of getting to the limit. I don't think they should go too much further away than that.
You very quickly feel quite comfortable, and you just got to put the big animals out of your mind and work. But amazing to see those little fish moving in and out, and those tigers come in quite aggressively. Well, I mean, if the crocodiles are hunting at night when you've got no lights, I mean, it's obviously completely pitch black, so they must be using other senses to sense those fish, and then probably snap very quick. The flood moves through the delta like a wave, and with it the clean water. We had to keep heading south to give us the best chance of good visibility. The more we encountered wild animals on the water's edge, the more we knew that the flood was receding. As the water is drawn off the floodplain, it brings with it sediment, and this is what muddies the water. The bottom line was we were running out of time. We probably had 1 week to achieve our goal of getting into the crocodile's lair. We arrive at a place called Beautiful Island, and it is from here that we are going to launch our last efforts.
This is Beautiful Island. see how it got its name. Really is
That's stunning.
beautiful spot. Lots of potential croc places, and we've got clean water. So I think this place will be ideal.
That fear has definitely subsided. And while I certainly don't want to die, I don't have that same anxiety about dying when in very, very dangerous situations.
To be honest, Roger, it's a big unknown, but I'm still trusting that we should be fine. And I'm still thinking that these animals are more afraid of us than we are of them.
There's one last place I want to try. A hidden backwater. I know the visibility will be good. I know that there's crocodiles there. My only worry is that the channel's grown closed. You have to get through quite a serious little papyrus channel. These papyrus channels, if you don't keep them open, if you don't use them regularly with a boat or have regular hippo or elephant traffic through them, they grow closed. What we might have to do is ramp a couple of blockages. Really work our way through the papyrus and get in there. I'm pretty sure it'll be worth it.
This place is exceptional. There are crocodiles everywhere, the water is really, really clean, and the current is not too strong. If we have one opportunity to achieve our goal, then this is the place to do it.
I would say that's one of the biggest guys we've seen. Probably 4.5 meters. Greg reckons when he stood up, probably comes up to the waist of a man, so it's big.
As this animal slips into the water, it behaves in a way that we have never experienced before. It shows absolutely no fear of us or the boat. So now we are in a predicament. Because is this animal potentially more threatening because it is not afraid of us? Or is this something else? Is this the opportunity we've been waiting for all this time?
This croc has shown no fear towards us. And in my experience, an animal that's not scared of people is a dangerous animal. I suggested to Roger and Didier that they take the spear gun with them. They don't need to load it. I was thinking use it as a prod, push the animal away if he does approach them. We need to exercise extreme caution with him.
When we first approached this animal, as it lay there on the bottom, it just behaved completely differently to all the other crocodiles we had interacted with. And this raises questions because you feel, is the animal luring you into a false sense of security? Is it suddenly going to turn on you? But we had to film, so I went back to get the second camera so we could start to document the animal from both sides. I just knew that this was the moment we had been waiting for. For the first time, we could actually observe the details of the animal and start to focus and get some close-ups. And it became so apparent that here we were dealing with this dragon, this incredible creature that was for the first time allowing us to interact with it. Didier started to work around to the left of the animal, and I started to work to the right. And getting that close, one starts to notice more of the fine details and the horns on its head that give it that dragon-like appearance. Moving close to the head was perhaps the most nerve-wracking part of the whole exercise. You just feel so vulnerable. That animal could move quickly and snap at any time.
I've never seen anything like this. I've spent the last 5 years boating up and down on this river. I've covered tremendous amounts of water. Never seen a croc like this.
After being with the animal for a considerable time, it surfaced, obviously needing to breathe.
Yeah, he's starting to move. He's coming up. He's been lying there for about 40 minutes, dead still on the bottom, and obviously now he's run out of air. He's coming up to take a breath. Just using one of the divers, because the guys are so close, I'm sort of using them in comparison to the size of the croc. And I mean, this crocodile is twice as long as a diver with his arms stretched out and his flippers on. So I'm saying that this crocodile is close to 14 foot long. It's a big, big animal.
As the crocodile lifted itself up and started walking towards the darkness of the papyrus, I felt like I was watching a scene out of Jurassic Park, but this was real. This was an actual living dinosaur. As the animal approached the edge of the papyrus, we knew it was going to go in and seek shelter inside. We had to make a decision right then and there. Do we follow it or do we abandon the dive? But we felt like the crocodile was inviting us in, and we decided to follow. Squeezing our way through some quite narrow tunnels was terrifying, because it was quite possible that the animal was right next to you and you would never know it. But we followed the sediment trace that the animal had left behind and worked our way deeper into the chamber. And then we saw it. This incredible golden dragon, which was now right at the back of its lair. It was almost as if all fear and all of that anxiety fell away, because we had such a strong sense that this animal was inviting us to be in this very, very private place. without doubt, at this moment in the expedition, my whole understanding of crocodile changed forever. As one leaves that lair and swims out, you feel a huge sense of accomplishment. But way more significant is that feeling which comes over you, which has got nothing to do with you trying to achieve something, but it comes as a consequence of you and that crocodile coming together.
I feel privileged. This is we have seen today something that probably no one has seen before. No one. So it's a huge privilege from nature. It's a gift.
If I'm really honest, I can feel I don't know whether it's just the cold, but I feel really kind of shaken, It was just incredible to see that animal, perfectly just standing there in the dark. That was the most intense encounter that I've ever had with a wild animal.
And being a wildlife cameraman, after 30 years of experience, I'm telling you that it is once in your lifetime. That's very few animals accept you like this, and I knew that when I was diving with this crocodile, I knew that was a great moment of my life. Yes, I knew it.
I just sensed that there was an incredible, mysterious kind of understanding going on underneath there. And that animal just allowed us to stay there, for all that time. It was amazing.
A big, powerful animal like a crocodile, something that's got no predators, no real fears. I was thinking that they would show more aggression towards the divers. The way the croc sort of hides his head in the undergrowth, the way they expose their back, they don't make eye contact, they don't show their teeth. To me, this was pure and simple submissive behavior.
One can be fearful of many things, but most of the time, you're actually fearful of the idea of the thing. And only through relationship, through building a relationship with the animal, do you realize that that fear is totally ungrounded.
I think as human beings, it's one of the biggest kind of journeys and challenges in life is learning how to actually, move more away from being in a world where you fear to being in a world where you love and engage and appreciate.
And these kind of experiences, where you actually put yourself and open yourself up to engagement, sure they're risky, but they also have the potential for the greatest transformation and the greatest reward. And that's why one does these things.